the self-promotion go out.
Well, let's go live. We are going live.
All right.
And we are live. Hello, I'm your humble host, Christopher Tarantola, and I have with me XO Hunter ATL.
Hello.
We are playing. Go ahead, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
We are playing Cities Skylines. Today we are starting. We are launching Czardonia, which is our third iteration of our community build, and we're going to select one of three maps. We asked participants to suggest or nominate maps over the past couple weeks, and we've had we had like 8 entries. Uh, XO and I whittled them down to 3, and so we need you to decide. Okay, so to start off with, we have one that's a little bit near and dear to my heart because I'm a bit biased. I made it myself from scratch. It is Swan Valley. Now, Swan Valley, Idaho, is a place that's just west of the Yellowstone National Park. So these mountains here, if you continue down and go on the other side of them, would get you into Yellowstone in Wyoming. Now, what we have here is a dividing river here, and then you also have this nice big lake thing. But we're going to stick it to 25 tiles on this one just for the sake of performance for everybody. And each half of the map is divided for each team. So we're going to have 2 teams. Government's not going to have their own area because XO and I are going to represent government as moderators, and each of us are going to be on a team. So, XO, I know we just figured this out the other day. What team are you on again?
So I am on Team 2. Yet
Team
again.
2.
Yes.
Okay. So XO's going to be on Team 2. I'm going to be on Team 1. And that's going to also dictate what days of the week. Now, everybody's going to get a chance to play on Saturday. Because that's the dividing line, 2 p.m. on Saturday, U.S. Central Time. But you know, it's one of those things that we tried to make it to where we could have some regularity on when we're going to play, and hopefully get some streaming going. Not only with us, but we want our players to stream as much as possible. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable streaming, we're not going to force it on you. But if you are comfortable streaming, we would very much encourage that. I think that really adds something extra to the game. Okay, so that's it for the plug. If you are, can you drop, Scott, into the chat a connection to a link to Zardis's Discord server?
Yes.
Now, Scott.
Yes, sir.
What, as you see it, since you're a little bit less biased, are the pluses and minuses of this map compared to the other 2 that we chose?
Sure. So one of the things right off the bat, it is for the perspective of divvying up land, it is easier to tell where we want to kind of split things up. It's also got a pretty nice mixture of flatland and, in the case of whatever team is on the, well, now that we've moved things around, but whatever team is on kind of the...
This is the right side.
The left side of the map, they would have a little bit of mountainous area that they could potentially build on as well.
Indeed. This is somewhat buildable here.
Yep.
So, in real life, I believe, that this would be north. That's true north in real life. So, that would mean that would be the west side of the map.
Okay.
And so here you can see the dotted line. That's the edge of the map. We have a highway coming through here that goes all the way through, and then we have another highway that comes off of here and intersects with that first highway there. And then we have one rail line going through as well. Well, what else do you like about it? What else do you hate about it?
Well, there's really nothing I hate about it. I mean, that's a strong word, anyways. Uh,
You know what I'm saying.
yes.
Pros and
So,
cons. Pros and cons.
um, compared to the other maps we were looking at, this one, I would say maybe it's a little bit more basic in a way. However, um, it does make some other things easier. Kind of one, we can have a much more clearly defined space for the teams. The teams will have more land to work on. It looks, there's a lot of room for possibility here.
Okay. So, before we move on to the next map, is there anything else you'd like to say about it? Not that I'm telling you need to say anything.
Correct. It's a good, for the maps that we looked at, it's a good solid map. It's not one that we could say it's the best map ever, but it is a solidly good map to work on.
I think it's the best map ever. Best map I ever made. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so, yeah. So the reason I like it, you know, I like how the water feature in the middle is going to be challenging compared to the last map in the sense that you got high cliffs for your edges of the river, and it's a wide enough river that it's not going to be conducive to just throw a bridge over wherever you want. You're going to have to really want a bridge somewhere and work with the other team to make that happen. And it's also, I think, going to promote ferry boats quite a bit and possibly some other connections.
Yes, that's correct.
It uses the same trees as Discover did, the Perth map, Perth, Australia. So you don't have to really do anything more in regards to that. And I think that's about it. It's got all the resources you need. I put the farmland up near the rivers that are feeding the big main river. And then you have your ore up in your mountains, and then you have some oil on both sides of the map near the coasts here. So everybody's got a little bit of everything that they need to do whatever industry they want, wherever they want. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next map. The next map is Riverlands. Dooey dooby doo. Just waiting on you.
And we're waiting.
Yes, we are.
And we're waiting.
Waiting.
Please wait.
Thank you for your patience. Somebody will be with you in just a moment. I'm pretty sure we just had somebody rage quit on us. Okay, we're getting that same error.
Yep.
But I didn't get it on the other map, so I don't know. But in any case, we have. I wonder if it's because they're using different railroads or something.
That could very well be, because either that or they painted over the rail bed.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, this is. Well, I forget the name. It was River something or another.
It was Riverlands. Is the name
Riverlands.
of the map. Yes.
And as you can see, we got some rivers in Riverlands, ironically or appropriately enough, not ironically. We also have quite an extensive highway system that's built in with a little bit of room for expansion here. And the thing about this map that I found most interesting was it's going to be asymmetrical play in the sense that we try to figure out, okay, where would we divide this? And so the way it would work is one team, not necessarily team one, but a team would get one side of this river and of this specific fork of the river. So this side, and the other team would get the other side, and then whoever gets the mountainous side would also get this part. We divided along this highway here to give them that area to try and equal out the buildable area that each team has to play with. And whoever gets this side is going to have a lot more mountains to work with, and this whoever gets this side is going to have a lot less mountains to work with. So it's going to be asymmetrical in that manner. What do you think, XO? What do you got to say?
I would say that this was definitely, to me, one of the more visually appealing maps.
Indeed.
And, as we were talking about this earlier, I see a lot of potential, especially to whatever team gets this side of the map, that with that little mountain area, and then you have the lake. And I think whatever team, if this map is selected, whatever team gets that, I think has a real opportunity to do something special with that area. And conversely too, the other team, whatever on the other area, you got these great looking farm areas. There's places in those farmland areas where you place little towns, and you can see. I think this map has a real potential to showcase teams' individualities working with the terrain that they have. I think was my second or first favorite map, and I see a lot of potential in this map. This is a map that I personally would probably would have much enjoyment playing a solo build on.
Indeed. So, possibly your favorite, or if not, your second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Was the Japanese one the other one?
Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, notice he did not say it was my map, so now I'm officially mad at him. So I'm gonna hold a grudge.
Yep.
No, but I mean, just look at the scenery. It's done. It's really well done.
Yes.
Much more highly detailed than mine. I just spattered trees everywhere. I mean, I'd put some work into it, but somebody clearly put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and love into this thing. And visually, it certainly is one of my favorites.
I mean, this would definitely put the skylines before the city. So this is just literally skylines, and then you come in and you build cities, and then you will have cities and skylines.
Lowercase cities, capitalized skyline.
Correct.
I gotcha.
The con to this map, even though you haven't asked me, this was one of the more difficult ones for us to kind of figure out. How do we kind of divide up that space? Visually, people could have an expectation of, oh, we should have this space, and wait, why are you, potentially, why are you giving this space to the other team when it's on our side type of argument? And it's because it's the mountains do pose a lot of unusable land, or not as effectively usable land, and so you got to kind of compensate for that.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, we're just doing our best to make it equal out. I think what we also determined is the starting points for each team would be here.
Mm-hmm.
and here. It's somewhat equal ground to start, and then somewhere around round 3 to 5, we'd have satellite cities
Yes.
set up or started, and then build from there.
Yes.
So, all right. Anything else about this map you'd like to say before we move on to the next one, sir?
No, I've said my piece about it.
All right. Yeah, I will be very pleased if this was our choice. Um, my biggest worry about it is people being unhappy about this, but I think you're gonna have two types of people. You're gonna have the people who are like, "Ooh, give me that, gimme," and "Ooh, get me away from that. I don't want it."
Correct.
And not everybody that wants it is gonna get it. Not everybody that doesn't want it is going to have the pleasure of playing on the other side. So
Yes.
just something to think about there. Okay, so loading up the next map. What was the last one? It was Midwest America, right?
It was.
America, woo! Tucker drums. This next map reminds me very much of where I live. We're basically, we're called the Hub City, Lubbock, Texas. And we live on top of the Cap Rock. And it is very flat here. In fact, first day I came here, I was visiting Texas Tech because that was where I was going to end up going to school. But at the time, I was just seeing if I liked it. And the tour guide on campus told me a joke. There's a park on campus that has a bit of a hill.
Mm-hmm.
When I say a bit of a hill, it's like, I don't know, 10 foot, 15 foot tall. Not anything to like write home about or nothing. But the funny one thing to note here is it doesn't have any shipping lanes, which we might add. I just noticed that.
Yep.
But we could certainly add that here.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely space for it.
Indeed. But in any case, they said if you stood on top of that hill and your dog ran away, you could watch it run away for about 3 days. And this map epitomizes that joke for this area.
Yes.
It's Middle America. I mean, just like it says, the breadbasket of America between the coasts. Mostly looks like this. You got lots of farmland. It's very much on a grid, a north, south, east, west grid typically, and you got lots of farms. Now, whoever made the map did an ingenious job of using the different whatchamacallums,
Natural resources.
The resources to make the patchwork look to it. The only thing you're really missing is the big circles where the big irrigation circles go around, because they have like a post in the middle, and then they'll have a big old thing on wheels, and it'll just turn around and water the crops. And that's the only thing we're missing here.
I thought for a moment you were actually going to talk about crop circles. Like the only thing that's missing is the crop circles, but not the crop circles.
Not like alien crop circles, but circular crops.
Yes,
something slightly different. But in any case, and everybody's I'm sure familiar with what those look like. But in any case, this also I think for our European friends, even though it's Middle America labeled, I think it probably is also indicative of some areas of Europe. Some of the more farming rich areas of Europe as well. And so might be interesting for them as well. Now, the way we decided to divide this is we would have basically the river divided, and we would stick to the left forks as we're looking at the map right now. So this would be one team, and that same team would get all of these islands because they have a little bit less area than the other team on the other side.
Correct.
And so that's how we would divide it up. Nice and simple and easy. And, it's pretty cool. You got one freeway coming in here. It does stop, but we can always extend that. And then you have one coming in here, and it stops about at the edge. And you have a third one coming in, and then it kind of loops around and connects to just a regular 2-lane road here. And you have a bunch of dirt roads dividing all of the farms, essentially. And so, again, very real to life, and those can be upgraded over time. And I think the fact that both this map and the last map have pre-existing road networks is one of the things I like about both of them. It's also really simple to see where you're going to work. It's much more equal. So if you're more worried about, okay, we want to make sure everybody has the same experience, this is going to be more indicative of giving everybody the same experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the last map, some people are going to get the mountains, some people are going to get something more like what this map is providing.
Right.
What do you get to say, Scott?
So visually, the map is, I think, very beautiful, and it does, yes, it very much is a good reminder of what the Middle America looks like. Two, I could see, Europeans, you mentioned that before. This also kind of strikes me as, say, a England map or UK map with their farmland system where you would have those rows of, roads and trees separating farming, farm properties. So visually very appealing. Of course, it's very flat, so you don't really have that difference in terrain to work with, and it's very interesting because in a way too, this is very much like Riverlands, which we just discussed before, where there's some opportunity again to kind of play within the confines of how things are set up, or you go in a different direction and you just totally, what America would have done, and that's just, just boiled, paved everything over and, make a new thing on top of where these farmlands used to be. Genius use of the natural resources, and there too it's kind of like, well, will we see teams basically kind of as they build out, will they be removing those natural resources, kind of using the mods and assets at their disposal, or could we see maybe a much more industrial community forming up, as in legitly there's like oil resources next to farmland. This one has that potential.
Indeed.
And, so.
One thing I'm noticing is the river here. The flow is not exactly going the way you'd want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just now noticing that. So that's one thing that I'd say is a knock against it. Maybe knocks it down a notch for me a little bit.
Yep.
That being said, that's a minor issue. Certainly, the gameplay would not change too terribly because of that. I guess the biggest thing you'd have to think about is where you're dropping off your poo and picking up your water.
Yes. And so in that case, you could see teams really kind of having to coordinate where in their spots, are they going to do that?
Well, and the other thing about this too is you see the bridge here is like just a little tiny little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a lot more opportunity for teams to work together to make bridge crossings.
Mm-hmm.
There's already a lot of bridge crossings, as you can see, so it's not exactly necessary to do much more. Maybe just expanding the bridge's capacity.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that I think will be interesting.
Maybe this is something too, where maybe the teams end up coordinating to say, do what Germany did during their industrialization process of kind of canaling out the rivers, to deepen them and making them worth shipping.
Indeed.
Maybe they end up forming a structure to kind of have a good water flow.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. So those are our three maps. Those are the three maps to vote for. We're going to be selecting people shortly here. So if you have not signed up yet to join Czardonia, then please make sure to go to the Discord server linked in the live chat for this video and go to sign up. Anybody in there will help you out. If you're not sure exactly how to navigate around, it's pretty simple. And once we select the teams, then we will have the teams based on this video, and they can of course go to the nominations channel and look at these three maps themselves and really get into the nitty gritty if they want, so that they can make their decision. We'll then take a vote, tell everybody which team you're on, and get this sucker started. Am I leaving anything out, Scott?
I would just say, there were quite a few good map choices, and it was at the end of the day, it was difficult to pare this down to three. We had, just to let people know, we had to sit here and kind of
We haggled
to get down to three. So, those who had done some custom maps did a really fantastic job. And certainly, maybe it's one of those maps for the next community build is back in the running again.
Absolutely. I think there was only one map that was pretty much like, yeah, no thanks.
Right.
And that I don't think was a map that was done by anybody custom for this project. It was just a map that was from online. And I think anyone, if we had done any one of the 8 or 9 maps that we looked at today, I think we would be fine.
Yes.
But having that abundance of choice means I think we're going to have a really great map, regardless of which of these 3 we choose.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up being chosen. So.
Indeed. All right. Well, I want to shout out to Felipe Davy de Souza Oliveira. I'm sure I butchered that name, and I apologize, but I say hello to you, sir. Same thing to you, Darth Yoda, and to all the others that are lurking on here. I see you guys lurking, and I appreciate you watching. We will be back, and we plan to stream right here together, and show you the progress as Czardonia becomes another great iteration in our community build series.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
All right, this is Christopher signing off.
This is Etzel Hunter. Thank you for joining.